Hi, everyone, and welcome to our Berkeley virtual visit today. We're excited to share Berkeley with you all. I know there's a lot happening in the world right now, and we really appreciate you taking an hour of your day to spend with us. With that being said, my name is Harmenjit, and I will be the moderator for today's visit. I go by the She series, aka She, Her, Hers. I'm from Modesto, California. If you're from California, it's in the Central Valley. If you're not from California, it's about an hour and a half away from Berkeley, so not too far. I'm a rising senior, which is super surreal to think about, but that's what I am, rising senior. I'm double majoring in molecular and cell biology and public health. And in addition to being a campus ambassador, I'm an undergraduate student instructor, which is kind of like a teaching assistant. We'll talk more about graduate student instructors in the tour for MCB 32, which is a lower division human physiology course. I'm also involved in Matriculate, which is a national nonprofit that empowers low-income, high-achieving high school students. Cub Support, an organization that provides academic support to K through 12 students. Volunteer at a hospital. I'm involved in Camp Kesem, Golden Bear orientation, and I dabble in a bit of research. And before I pass it on to our amazing tour guides, we just have a few housekeeping items. So our presentation today will be 40 to 45 minutes long, where we'll go ahead and share our student perspective and Berkeley experiences with you all. Please note that the chat has been disabled, so please ask us any and all questions using the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. In addition to the campus ambassadors you see on screen, we have several campus ambassadors on the back end that are excited to answer your questions. So please feel free to ask any and all questions at any time throughout the visit today. It's a perfect opportunity for you to get your answers from a current Berkeley student and kickstart that college research if you are high school juniors. You'll also be seeing polls pop up on your screen throughout the visit. Since we're sharing our information with you all, we'd love to get to know you all a little bit more. So please participate in our short polls. Also, please note that we do have recorded virtual visits available on our website if you'd like to check those out after the visit today. Please keep in mind that this campus overview is given from the student perspective and that today's presenters are not representatives of the admissions or financial aid departments. If you have any specific questions pertaining to those areas, then please feel free to contact those departments directly. And there's actually a separate admissions presentation if you're interested in that. Finally, we'll be ending the tour with the Q&A. We'll go ahead and answer some of your questions live. So once again, ask any and all questions. Perfect time to get your research started. And I know I've been talking a lot, so without further ado, I'll now pass it over to our two amazing ambassadors leading our presentation today.
Thank you so much, Harmenjit. Hello, everybody. My name is Alyssa. I use the she, her pronouns. I'm from Salinas, California, so that's about 2 to 2.5 hours away from Berkeley. And I am a rising junior, just halfway done with college. That's crazy to me. And I'm majoring in society and the environment, which is a really cool intersection between humanity and how we interact with our natural and built environment. A little bit of my involvement on campus. I'm part of the UC Rally Committee, which is our big spirit group on campus. I'm also involved with Greek life and leadership in the residence halls. And last semester, I also joined a pre-law fraternity, so I can get some more of that professional development. Very exciting.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sara. I use the she, her pronouns. I'm originally from San Diego, California, and I'm also a rising junior. I'm majoring in bioengineering, and some of my other involvements on campus besides being a campus ambassador are I'm also in the Rally Committee with Alyssa. I'm involved in research. I do research on gene editing in the Doudna lab. I'm part of the Biomedical Engineering Society, which is a society for people in my major to like network and go to cool events with each other. And lastly, I'm part of Tau Beta Pi, the Engineering Honor Society. Okay, so now that you've heard a little bit about us, we'd like to hear about you. So you should see a poll popping up on your screen soon asking about who we have in the group today. And while people are filling that out, I can talk a bit about some of the stuff that you see on screen here. At the top of the screen, you see our football team on the football field. This is something that I super enjoy about Berkeley is our sports programs. I highly recommend if you're new to campus or even if you're not new to get one of the combo sports passes. You get a discount as a student to go to football and men's basketball games, and all the other sports are free. Free for students, sorry. And then below that, you see the logo for our campaign celebrating the 150th anniversary of women at Berkeley. The first woman to graduate from Cal, Rosa Scrivener, graduated in 1874, and then thousands more, including myself and Alyssa, are following in her footsteps. And then to the right of that logo, it's a picture of the interior of one of my absolute favorite campus buildings. You can see it in my virtual background as well, the Hearst Memorial Mining Building. It's super pretty. There's a lot of material science classes in there. I've had a couple of bioengineering classes in there. Once campus opens up and you can go inside, I highly recommend it because it's just super picturesque. And then in the center of your screen, you can see Sturdy the Bear. This is the largest of our 27 bear statues, also in addition to the mining building, one of the popular photo spots on campus. And then on the last picture on the right is Memorial Glade, which is a popular place for students to study. You can see some students studying there or just hang out in the sun with friends.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah. So just a little bit of an agenda for today, the key topics that we're going to be going over. We'll give you a general overview of Berkeley, like Sarah just began with, and we'll talk about academics, of course, housing and dining, health and safety, student resources and student life, how you're going to get a really balanced education, but also student experience here. Talk about athletics, libraries and research, and of course, how we've transitioned into remote learning.
Okay, we'll start with some history of the university. Berkeley was founded in 1868 as one of the land-grant universities. We're the first campus of the UC system, which means we go by a lot of names. You may have heard us be called Berkeley, Cal, UC Berkeley, University of California, just California, the Golden Bears. Like all of that is Berkeley. We get to claim all of them because we are the first UC school. And as I was talking about the Golden Bears, that's our mascot, represented there. You can see him in a picture as Oski. He's always around campus. I've seen him a lot recently taking grad photos with people, and my friends and I like to chase him around and get selfies with him. He's pretty friendly and kind of mischievous. He might like steal your hat or, try to play pranks on you. So keep an eye out for him on campus. We have a pretty large school. We've got about 30,700 undergraduates and 12,000 graduate students. And I really like the fact that it's a big campus. I feel like there's just so many opportunities that a big campus can offer that small campuses just can't as much. And we have a couple historical landmarks. You can see the Campanile there and Sather Gate on your screen. They've appeared in several movies like Monsters University and Ant-Man and the Wasp. So you can take pictures in front of them and show your friends when you watch those movies.
Yeah, very, very cool things around campus. And speaking of another very cool thing that we have on our campus was the free speech movement, which all started in the 1960s when a group of students went to Freedom Summer in the South. And so they were there exercising their voice and speaking for what they believe in. And they came back to Berkeley and they felt like they weren't really able to do that the way they were there. So they fought for it and they all banded together, a whole bunch of students, even some professors and faculty, and fought for their right to free speech. And this gave way to so many amazing things that we still have on our campus now, such as tabling on Sproul Plaza. Sproul Plaza is kind of our main hub. When you're walking to class, you walk through there and there's people for a bunch of different clubs sitting at tables, handing out flyers, trying to get you to join their organization or maybe raising funds for whatever was going on in their club at this time. So this is a really fun thing that I like to be a part of. I like to hand out flyers for the rally committee, encourage people to come to our rallies. Of course, this past year, we weren't able to do this in the same way, but we did have virtual tabling, which was as close as we could get, and it was still pretty fun. We also have the Free Speech Movement Cafe in honor of the free speech movement. So we always have that recognition, and we know that it's a very prevalent part of our campus culture. We also have so many opportunities for leadership, within those clubs that are tabling on Sproul, you can get involved and then you could go up the ranks in leadership. And, Sara and I are both involved in leadership in the rally committees. It's very fun and has been great experiences for both of us. You also here you have the opportunity to challenge the status quo. The free speech movement is a great example of this. Students didn't see what they liked, and so they fought to change it and make their own paths. So yeah, there's just a lot of opportunity for innovation and being who you want to be. And there's just overall a lot of compassion for each other as students, and the faculty has compassion for us as well. You would think that at such a large school, you don't get that one-on-one time, you don't get those real connections with professors maybe, but you absolutely do. And I came from a very small school, so that was definitely something that I was concerned about, but I have felt so at home here and just so immersed with the spirit and pride and have just felt very at home.
Yeah, but here we have a couple pictures to continue off of what Alyssa said before. In the top left, you can see a picture of a protest. I know Berkeley has a reputation for being very socially active and politically active, and that's true. We do have protests and a lot of activism on campus, but if that's not your style, don't worry about it. There's not any pressure to participate. And then immediately below that picture, you can see the same spot, Sproul Plaza, like the center of campus, but this time with a spirit rally. And that, along with the picture on the right with the people in the striped shirts, our school spirit, that's the rally committee that me and Alyssa are a part of. Yeah, go Bears. I have so much fun being involved in school spirit. I went to all the rallies when they were in person. I went to them all online. Super fun thing to be a part of. And then in the middle, you can see pictures of research, so it's like biology research and some more robotics type stuff. I'm always so impressed by the cool things that are happening here. This is a research university, so your professors will be involved in cool research. I like to go to office hours and talk to my professor about what they're doing in their labs. I got some research that way, and also I learned about how my chemistry professor was like making discoveries that were being published like the next week. Super cool thing. Definitely get involved in research and school spirit and activism when you're here. Just take advantage of everything that Berkeley has to offer.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. If there's one thing that I recommend, like a piece of advice, is just to get involved and put yourself out there. So as far as our global impact goes, so we do a lot with education well, of course, we're a school, of course, we're going to be learning a lot. But in terms of access and scalability, we want to make sure that all of our students are able to use the resources that they need in order to succeed. So we have our student tech program, which provides students with a laptop or a Wi-Fi hotspot or different things that they may need, which was especially important during this past year since everything was online. You're really depending on technology to help you succeed in these classes. We also have a variety of remote youth programs. One that I like to talk about is with the Society of Women Engineers. They do a program called SWE++, and one of my roommates was involved with this past year. And so she would get up Saturday mornings and hop onto Zoom, and she would teach these young girls how to code. And it was so amazing to see these 9-year-old girls just so invested and so into it. And I listened in onto one of the panels that they had with some graduating seniors, and the girls were just asking such amazing questions about their futures, and they were so inspired by what they saw in front of them. We also have been doing a lot with COVID research and trial testing. You can see in that bottom right image, Jennifer Doudna, who Sara is lucky enough to work with in her lab. She was running a saliva test. So we were doing those nasal swabs every week, and the university was doing that free for all students. But we were also having this trial testing. And so I was able to be a part of it. I thought it was very cool. You just go and spit in a tube, and then they would detect if the COVID-19 virus was there or not. So they were trying to see whether that was more effective or less effective. So that was a really cool kind of example of research and how students can get involved with that so easily. Even if it's not like doing the research themselves, you're still in part of something, which I really appreciated. So yeah, in terms of that, clearly there's a biological and cultural impact, and that's affecting not only us and our university, but also the rest of the world. And we could share all of our knowledge with the world. We also are doing a lot for advocacy and social justice. So we have so many people and so many professors advocating for human rights and anti-racism. We have our American cultures requirement, which is really cool. I'm taking an American cultures class right now over the summer. And my first lecture, they had somebody come in and told us the history of the program and like why it's part of our university. And they want everybody to really know the broader scope and why we're learning certain things and how everything kind of turns back and looks at the past and respects the cultures that we are a part of.
Yeah, Alyssa, I really agree with what you said about the American cultures requirement. I took one that was super fun as well about like human genetic variation and how that is impacting our society today. Okay, so now we're going to start talking about academics, and you should also see a poll on your screen asking like what subject you're interested in, just so we know what to talk about more. There's 5 undergraduate colleges here at Berkeley. There's the College of Letters and Science, the Rausser College of Natural Resources, College of Environmental Design, College of Chemistry, and then my college, the College of Engineering. You should apply to the college that you're interested in studying, but if you change your mind later, it's fairly easy to switch between those first 3 colleges. It's a little more difficult to switch into the College of Chemistry or into the College of Engineering. So if you want to do one of those majors, make sure that you're applying directly into that one. Most students are accepted just into their college in general and then declare their major around their second year, but College of Engineering students are accepted already into their major declared.
Yeah, amazing. So our biggest college, the College of Letters and Sciences, We have about 3/4 of undergraduate population within this college, so it is very expansive. I see some of you in the poll are definitely interested in this college. So we have 5 different divisions. So we have arts and humanities, biological sciences, math and physical sciences, social sciences, and interdisciplinary undergraduate studies. So anything you can think of essentially that doesn't immediately click with the other 4 colleges is probably in this. So we have psychology is one of them, economics, media studies, amazing things. There's majors that I hadn't even heard of until I came here, and then I met somebody that was a certain major like media studies, and I was like, oh, tell me more about it. So there's a lot of room for learning from your peers too within this college and within the whole university. So yes, there are 80 majors, kind of crazy, very expansive, but you really are able to come into this college. You come in undeclared, which I was made me nervous at first because I came in LNS, and then I had applied as physics, and I was like, oh no, it doesn't say physics on my Cal Central. But that was actually a really good thing because I was able to explore through the 7 breadth courses and really find what I was interested in, which apparently was not physics. And yeah, so amazing college and very expansive and wide. I don't know. Okay, so we have 17 out of 25 of our Nobel Prize winners have also come from our College of Letters and Sciences. So very round, very cool.
Yeah, it's definitely a perk of the College of Letters and Sciences to be able to explore. I know so many of my friends who like applied as one thing and then decided in their first year or second year that actually they wanted to do something else that they liked a lot better. The next college we're going to talk about is the Rouser College of Natural Resources. This is one of Berkeley's 2 original colleges. It used to be the College of Agriculture, but now it has a broad focus on the environment and a curriculum that prepares students for careers in like medicine, health, law, and business, with majors such as biological sciences, nutrition and toxicology, ecosystem management, interdisciplinary studies, social science, and economics and policy. It's known for having a lot of like research, internship, and service opportunities. So if you want to get some hands-on experience, this is a really good college for you. And it's also super focused on sustainability and social justice. So people interested in that should apply to this college. And their motto is see the bigger picture, make a better world, which I think is just a great motto for a college.
Yes, I love the College of Natural Resources. That's where my major falls under, society and environment. All the classes I've taken through it are just so interesting. I've really enjoyed learning about not just the environment in terms of like science, but in terms of like a social science. The next college, I love the College of Environmental Design. I am attempting to double major with urban studies, one of our 4 majors, in addition to architecture, landscape architecture, and sustainable environmental design. This is our smallest college with only about 650 students. So you really are able to get more personalized study time, and every student in this college also gets their own workspace within Worcester, which is this main building that you are able to see. I think it kind of looks like a dragon. I think it's pretty cool. So you are able to have this space and work on your own and use all of your resources to the fullest. I took a architecture class last semester, and of course it was online, and so I just had all of my big 18 by 24 inch sketchbooks, and I was using those, kind of lugging them around my house. But it was really fun, and I still was able to have that studio experience, but I definitely would have appreciated having that space in Worcester so that I could kind of just leave everything there and have it all in one place. And the motto of this college is to craft ecologically sustainable and resilient, prosperous and fair, healthy and beautifully built environments. So you're not just thinking about, oh, let's build a building. You're thinking, what are the effects that putting this building up is going to have, and different things like that. So you're really looking very holistically.
All right, the next college we're going to talk about is the College of Chemistry. This one has about 1,000 students, but it only has 3 majors: chemistry, chemical engineering, and chemical biology. And make sure you note that chemical engineering is in the College of Chemistry, not the College of Engineering. Berkeley has a really, really strong history in chemistry. 16 elements were discovered here, including 2 that are named after the university itself, berkelium and californium. And that's a lot. That's more than 10% of the entire periodic table. We're just super strong at chemistry. And me, myself, as a bioengineering major, I've taken a ton of classes in this college, and I really love them all. I took organic chemistry, inorganic chemistry, biochemistry, like the whole gambit. And one thing that every class that I've taken, even in high school and at Berkeley, has used is the Lewis dot structure. You might be familiar with it from your classes in high school. I noticed that some of you had biology majors that probably needed to take chemistry. And that's something that was invented here by a Cal professor who just realized that there was a need for a schematic that younger students or intro to chemistry students could use to understand chemistry better. And it's since been spread all around the world.
Okay, so I saw that a lot of you in the poll mentioned that you were interested in engineering, so this is very exciting. All of our engineering majors are ranked within the top 9 globally. So shout out to Sara and Bioengineering. This is a pretty small college with only 3,800 students. So again, you're able to get more personalized environment. And there are 11 majors. So all the types of engineering you can think of, we've got them. You know, my dad is a civil engineer. He kind of wanted me to look into that. Wasn't really my thing, but respect him, and I respect everybody in the College of Engineering for doing such amazing work and working so hard in all of their classes. You have in this college, you're not just doing engineering though, you also have humanities and social science breadth classes. So you're getting a more well-rounded education, and you're not just doing those really difficult STEM classes. You're also maybe learning about the environment if you want to take a class in the College of Natural Resources, which I would recommend. So yeah, that's in addition to your technical courses, of course. And if you would like to learn more about the College of Engineering, we do have separate virtual visits that you can check out, and you can sign up for those at the same place you signed up for this tour here today. The motto of this college is to transform the lives of our students by preparing them to become successful leaders and innovators for positive change. So as you can see with the mottos of all of these colleges, including College of Engineering, we're really change makers, and we're really not just doing things to get a job done, we're doing things to change the world.
Yeah, I really enjoy my time in the College of Engineering, both my technical classes and the breadth of classes that I need to take. I'm going to take ethics this coming semester that I'm super excited about, so that, you know, even though I'm doing bio-E, I'm not going to like release a pathogen on the world or anything that's ethically questionable. Next, we're going to talk about graduate schools. There's 11 graduate schools here: the Haas School of Business, the School of Information, School of Education, Berkeley Law, the School of Social Welfare, Optometry, Journalism, Public Health, and Public Policy. But this is not a comprehensive list of the graduate programs, as other colleges offer graduate degrees through their departments. So even though there's no, for example, like School of Physics and for a graduate program, you can still get a graduate degree in physics at UC Berkeley. And then in addition to grad programs, the Haas School of Business also offers an undergraduate program where students are accepted into the College of Letters and Sciences, and then they apply to the Haas School of Business as a sophomore after completing a number of prerequisites that are similar to an economics degree.
Now, in terms of structure and class size, we do have both lecture and discussion sections. So lecture is taught by your professor. It's your whole class is there, maybe couple hundred students. And then discussion is you and a group of 20 to 30 students and your graduate student instructor. So coming from those 9 graduate schools that Sara mentioned are these GSIs, grad student instructors, and they're really amazing to work with. They are kind of close to our age. They know about our experiences and what we're going through as college students, but they also are just so intelligent and are willing to help you and tell you all about their research and answer any questions you may have about this course. And in addition, we also have office hours. So both GSIs and professors host these office hours. I like to go to them and really use this resource. Even if I don't necessarily have a question, I'll still go and kind of hear what other students have to say or what they're curious about, so that I can then grow from that in return. As far as class size, we do have a 19-to-1 student faculty ratio, which is a lot smaller than you would imagine from a 40,000 student university. This is something I've really appreciated coming from a school with a graduating class of 38 students my senior year. I was so intimidated to come to Cal and have lecture halls that were more people than my entire school, but having these discussion sections and having such a small ratio has been really great. And 81% of our classes have fewer than 50 students. So your introductory classes will be pretty big, have a lot of students, but once you get down into your major and what you're really passionate about, these classes will get a lot smaller and as interests narrow down. And we do also have hands-on labs and studio courses. One of my roommates was in a chemistry class this past semester, and they sent her all the materials needed to do a lab, which was really cool to see. And like I mentioned, I had my architecture studio, which was just a longer class session, and we were able to stay on Zoom together and work through our architecture homework. As far as resources, we do have the Student Learning Center, or the SLC. I absolutely fell in love with this resource my freshman year. They offer adjunct courses that you can take in addition to perhaps your math course. That's what I did. So it's just a 1-unit course, a little bit of extra help, pushes you farther, makes you really learn the material as best as you can. So this was the help I needed. And they also have just drop-in tutoring. So they set up a bunch of tables in this room, and they're specified per class. So you'll see the class that says Math 16A, for example. And so you'll go and sit down at that table, and other students who are in that class will also be sitting there with you, doing their homework with you. If you have any questions, you can ask them, but there are also tutors walking around who are students who have been certified to tutor you in these courses. They've excelled in them. And so they can actually help you through whatever you're doing as well. And we also have individual advising if that is what you'd preferred. And I've heard really good things about the writing advising.
Yeah, I've also heard some really good stuff about the writing advising. So now I'm going to talk about the fall and spring of 2020 to 2021, where we had remote learning. Due to the pandemic, our classes have been on Zoom, much like this tour. It was a bit hectic in spring 2020, right when everything was shutting down, but then in the year since, it's been a lot better. The professors have definitely been trained in how to effectively use online tools and Zoom lectures. Our academic experience, we all get access to Zoom Pro for free. So me and my friends have had hours-long study sessions on Zoom without the 40-minute limit of free Zoom. And some classes that I've had have been synchronous, where you go to at the regular class time, you log into the Zoom, and the professor is lecturing there. But some of my other classes have been asynchronous. The American Cultures class that I was talking about earlier was actually asynchronous, where we didn't have any set lecture time, but instead the professor put together a super interesting combination of short videos and lectures from other professors and reading materials that we could go through at our own pace, in addition to our in-person, or not in-person, but synchronous discussion sections. And of course, we have virtual resources for students, so it's a difficult time, so people might need more tutoring. That's fine. We have virtual tutoring, and we have resources for instructional resilience and semester in the cloud, recorded lectures, online resources, all kinds of stuff like that. But hopefully you guys on this tour won't need to experience this. Berkeley just sent out some more information saying we're starting our next semester fully in person, and I'm super excited to be back on campus next year.
Me too. I can't wait to get back on campus and be able to walk from class to class. Very exciting. Moving on to housing and dining. We're going to talk about our typical housing and what that's like. You'll also see the poll popping up asking where you're joining us from, because of course, coming to Cal and just coming to any college, you're going to be moving from home. It's a very interesting transition, but our dining halls and our residence halls are really great and helped me feel very at home. So we have a lot of different styles that you can live in. So we have our traditional units, which are high-rise dorms, exactly what you see in the movies, essentially. So you'll have a roommate or 2 or 3 roommates, and then you'll share a bathroom with your hall. You'll have people living right next to you. You'll get to make friends that way. It's very fun. You also have a social lounge, which is cool. So with these, we additionally have suite style dorms, which are Foothill and Clark Kerr, which Clark Kerr is what you see in the top 2 images. Very beautiful, kind of mission style. I didn't live there, but I would make my way up there and just kind of walk around and enjoy it, or I would study in that area. And freshmen do get priority for housing. So when you are applying, you make sure that you put as your 5th option any room, any location, to ensure that you do get housing. Within these dorms, we also have a lot of resources. We have residential assistants, or RAs, as you may have heard. These are great. They're upperclassmen. They've kind of been around campus, know exactly what it's like, and they offer you advice if you need it, but they're also just there for you as a friend, and just making sure that everything is going smoothly on the floor. My RA did a lot of very fun things for us. He would write sticky notes and put them on our door. One time he got us all cupcakes and played some music in the hallway and like knocked on all of our doors and made us come out and have a little dance party. So that was really fun. And like these common areas I mentioned, we have social lounges and we also have study lounges. So you can kind of take your pick for whatever time of day or whatever you need to get done at that time. And our meal plan is also included. We have our dining halls located near every residence hall, and they all offer an amazing array of things. If you're vegetarian, if you're vegan, any kind of eating habit you have, the dining hall can cater to that. And it's pretty good food. I've really enjoyed the curry specifically. We do also have housing during COVID-19, but all of the rooms have been single occupancy and students have been required to wear a face mask whenever they exit their room. But this has not taken away from the typical dorm experience. I know a lot of freshmen who have really enjoyed it and have really bonded with their social pods or the people on their floor with them.
Yeah, I lived in university housing this year and I definitely felt like I was safe there. We got tested all the time just to make sure that we were still negative for COVID, and all the common areas were sanitized super regularly. Next, I'll talk about the options for transfer and continuing student housing. So this is where you would live after your freshman year. There's a bunch of options. There's campus housing. You can live in on-campus apartments or other university-affiliated properties. This is what I did. I actually lived in the building you see on the bottom right there. That's Martinez Commons. It's an on-campus apartment building. I lived there with 3 of my friends in an apartment. You could also live off campus. There's tons and tons of rentals in the area for students. There's campus resources available like Cal Rentals to help you find rentals off campus. So if you need that, ask a question in the chat and someone will send you a link to it. You can also go to co-op housing, which is housing off campus where the rent is a bit reduced in exchange for work maintaining the house, like cleaning, cooking meals, that kind of thing. And you can live in Greek housing, sororities and fraternities. There's a bunch of them there to choose from. And even if you're living in off-campus housing or in an on-campus apartment, not a typical dorm, you can get a meal plan. This is what I did. I got half of a meal plan because I liked being able to cook for myself, but on weeks that I had midterms or finals or stuff like that, I liked being able to go to the dining hall and just get food quickly. And there's more info you can find on the Cal Housing website, which is housing.berkeley.edu.
Now moving on to health and safety, this was something that was really important to my parents when I was looking at colleges, but UC Berkeley definitely excels in this. We have our Tang Center, which offers urgent care, primary care, and physical therapy. So essentially it's an all-in-one stop. Whatever's going on with you, you can just go to the Tang Center and they'll help you out. We also have our Student Health Insurance Plan, or SHIP, which all students are required to have to make sure that everybody's being accounted for, but you can also opt out of it if you have equal or greater insurance. And as Sara mentioned, we did have COVID testing and tracing. So everybody in the dorms was required to get tested twice a week, and everybody else was encouraged to get tested at least once a week. So this was super easy and quick. You just go, make your appointment, you head to one of the locations, you get tested, and you're on your way out. And then you get your results back in just a matter of 2 or 3 days. So you always know your status, which was really reassuring for me. We also have a lot of FAQs and webinars. So if you want to check those out on the University Health website, you can go ahead and do that. We also have psychological counseling through our Counseling and Psychological Services, or CAPS. This has been a great resource. I know I've personally used it. I know a lot of people who have used it, and it's just been amazing to know that our university cares and they acknowledge that life's hard, especially during a pandemic. So we have this resource, and you can go to therapy however many times throughout the semester. We also have Path to Care, which works with survivors of sexual assault and sexual harassment and makes sure to prevent that on campus. We also have our Optometry Eye Center, which our grad students for grad school of optometry are working to check your eyes, get you glasses, whatever you need. I actually am thinking of making an appointment because I realized yesterday that I think my eyes aren't as great as I thought they were. As far as stress relief, we do have Pause for Mental Health. This is a club, just one of many clubs that helps alleviate stress around campus. They bring dogs and you can come and pet them and just play around with them. It's very fun. We also have Llama-Palooza, which you can see in the upper right image. During the week before finals week, They bring just a few llamas on campus to Memorial Glade, and you can come and you can say hi, take a picture with them, feed them carrots, and they even were able to do this virtually through UC Blockly, our Minecraft server, this past year.
Yeah, Blockley is super fun. I was able to plan a virtual card stunt for their virtual graduation this year that I had a ton of fun doing that. Next, we'll talk about campus safety services. Because Berkeley is an urban campus, it's important to be aware of safety, but Cal has a bunch of programs to keep us safe. And just in general, we have UCPD, our own police department. They're always available. You can call them if something happens. They give us alerts for places to avoid or things that are happening through text via Warn Me. You can also contact them through blue light poles. Blue light poles are all around campus. There's generally always one within your line of sight. And if you feel unsafe, you can go to one of those poles and press the button, and UCPD will be with you within minutes. I've never needed to use them, but I always feel safer when I see them around campus, just knowing that that option is available. And then in the residence halls, we have at least 3-point entry. For me, this past year was actually 4-point entry to make sure that only students who are actually in the halls are able to get in. For me, I had to scan my ID on the door to get into the building, and then I had to scan my ID on the door to get onto my floor, and then I had to use a key on my apartment to get into my apartment, and then I had to use a different key that the rest of my roommates didn't have to get into my own room. So it was definitely super safe to be in the residence halls. And then at night, if you're walking around, you can take the night safety shuttle, which is buses. You can see one of those pictures there on the lower right that do loops around campus. So if you're at the library and need to go back to the residence halls, you can take one of the night safety shuttles. I would take those all the time when they're in person. They're super easy to use and they're really free. I definitely recommend those. And then the last thing is Bear Walk, which is if you don't want to wait for the night safety shuttle, you can call somebody that's trained by UCPD, another student that has high-vis vest and walkie-talkies that'll walk you from wherever you are back to the residence halls or your apartments, wherever you're living.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends who are Bear Walk officers, and I just think it's a really amazing resource to have students helping out other students. As far as other student resources that we have, student development, we have a lot of different centers to make sure that all of our students on campus and all of our community members are getting the resources they need and the support and admiration and respect. So we have our Centers for Educational Justice and Community Engagement. We have our Associated Students of the University of California, or ASUC. This is essentially our student government. So we have a president, we have a bunch of senators, and then more offices in there. So this is really students helping students once again. We also have our Transfer Student Center because, of course, the transfer experience can be quite different from when you enter as a freshman. So we have this resource, and I see a lot of students in there. It's located in our Cesar Chavez Student Center, and they're always having a good time getting to connect with other transfer students who have similar experiences. We also have our Undocumented Students Program, our Disabled Students Program, which offers accommodations for classes and various things like that. So if you need another student to take notes for you, they can upload those to a certain website, and then you have access to additional notes. We also have our Basic Needs Center. So we have a student food bank on campus that anybody can go to with their student ID, regardless of, no questions asked. And then we also have a campus thrift shop, which I think is really cool.
And then beyond campus resources, we have a lot of student things that are available on campus. The Berkeley student life is really hopping. There's so many students here that there's a family that everybody can find. Everyone can find a place on campus. We have over 1,000 registered student organizations. So if you're interested in something, there's probably a club for it. But if you, for some reason, don't find a club that you're interested in, it's super easy to make your own. It's just some simple paperwork to fill out with the lead center. I've been involved in a couple student organizations. As we talked about before, I'm in the rally committee with Alyssa, having a ton of fun with school spirit related stuff. Also, when I was a freshman, I was in space technologies at Cal, where I worked on a project that was going to launch bacteria into space. And as I mentioned in my intro, I'm in the Biomedical Engineering Society, which puts on cool events for my major. There's also a lot of opportunities for volunteering. Last year, I volunteered for TEDx Berkeley, which is a TEDx program put on by students. So I got to be in the back end, like setting up and directing where the speakers were going. That was a super cool experience. And of course, there's campus employment. I've also taken advantage of that as a campus ambassador. This is an on-campus job. but there's a lot of other jobs that you can get on campus, and also the Career Center will help you find jobs off campus if you want. Our location in the Bay Area makes us a great place to find internships around campus. A lot of my friends have interned at really cool Silicon Valley companies. Like one of my friends worked at Google, another one worked at Salesforce. They're doing super well in their computer science internships, and I think they're also working there again this summer. And then lastly, it's also possible to study abroad. One of my friends is going to be studying abroad in France, and another one studied abroad in Vietnam. And it was super cool experience for her. She kept sending us a ton of pictures and seemed to have a really great time there.
Yeah, all the people I know who have studied abroad, I hear about it all the time from them, and it's just been really great experiences for everybody I know. Now moving on to athletics, something that gets both Sara and I very excited since we were part of the rally committee. We have 3 different levels of competition. So we have Division 1, our football team, basketball, gymnastics, all of these sports that students are recruited to this university to play. So we also, in addition to that, that's not really your thing, but you want to still stay involved and be sporty, athletic. You can get involved in club sports, which I would say are pretty comparable to high school sports. I have a lot of friends on the women's club water polo team. So they have their weekly practices, and then they also on the weekend will go and compete against other schools' club teams. So you definitely have that aspect of competition and that competitive environment. Then we also have intramural and recreational sports, which are a lot more low key. You can kind of just form a team with a group of friends, people on your floor, people in a club, and you can play ultimate frisbee or dodgeball or basketball or different things like that, soccer against other similar teams. And some people may do this to be a little bit competitive, but others may do it just for fun. Maybe they'll lose every game they play in, but it doesn't matter. They're having fun with their friends. We have our California Memorial Stadium, which is our football stadium. You can see our football team running out on that field. I love spending time there cheering on our football team. Sara, part of her job for this year is to be setting up card stunts in the student section, which is a really cool piece of history we have on our campus. We also have a Haas Pavilion, which is where our basketball, volleyball, and gymnastics teams compete. I've loved going there as well, and specifically watching the gymnastics meets because I used to compete in gymnastics, so it's very fun to see. We also have a recreational sports facility, which is essentially our gym for students. They're actually just recently opened up again for limited enrollment. Or not enrollment, but limited capacity. And so you can set up an appointment for 45 minutes and you can go use their equipment, which is really amazing. And so in addition to just equipment, they also have a pool. They have different classes you can take. I've heard really good things about the cardio dance class specifically. And just a little bit of a flex, but our students and alumni have won 207 Olympic medals.
I'm so excited for the Olympics this year. I'm interested to see if there's going to be any Cal people this year. And now we're going to talk about remote resources for building community because, as you know, we've been online for the last year in this pandemic. I've stayed connected to campus community mostly through my student organizations. I'm a pretty active member of the rally committee, and we've still been holding meetings like going to Cal Athletics watch parties and having socials regularly over Zoom. And Rallycom and some of my other student orgs also are pretty active on Slack. So you'll have a group chat with people that you're in clubs, and that just helps you make friends with people that are interested in similar things to you. There's also campus social media networks. I think an essential that every new student should join is Berkeley Memes for Edgy Teens, our Facebook meme group. My friends and I love tagging each other in memes there or like screenshotting them and sending them to each other. And I think it's a great way to just stay up to date on the campus student culture is by joining the meme page. And also Overheard at UC Berkeley is another group that I recommend. And for more professional stuff other than memes, you can join department webinars. I know my department in bioengineering has had some really interesting talks from like visiting professors. I think the campus also had a talk from Dr. Fauci right when the vaccine was right when the vaccine was coming out, and guest lectures as well. And then for new students, we have Golden Bear Orientation, which is an advising, preparation, and networking a couple of days where you're in a small group with a current student who's your leader, and they take you to a bunch of different activities to help you get acquainted with campus culture. This past year, it's been online, and we'll see what's going to be for this coming year.
Now, just a little bit about our campus libraries. We do have 24 official libraries, which is crazy to me. I would never think that there'd be more than 20. That's a lot. But my favorite one is actually pictured in that upper left image. That's Doe Memorial Library. It has these beautiful high ceilings. The ceiling itself is a piece of art, if you ask me. And there's just a bunch of natural lighting, and you just go and you sit down at a table with strangers. There's everybody's working really hard. It's pretty silent, just like the ambient noise of like chairs being pushed in and out and like pages turning. I just love it there. We also have 13 million volumes available. So anything you need, essentially, we can have an, a physical book, but we also have our extensive online resources that you can use. So these are all located in one website. And these have been great for the research papers I've had to do and just finding random information that I may be curious about. We also have a lot of opportunity for research that Sara's involved in. We have our undergraduate research apprenticeship program, or URAP, which is open for all students. It's not just STEM, it's also humanities, which I had never thought about until I came to Cal, but research is not just science, it's about just the world as a whole. And we also have specific departmental opportunities that you can get involved in just by reaching out to your professors or GSIs or people within your department.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a huge perk of coming to a research university is being able to get involved with research. This is a slide with famous alumni professors, and I'll start with Jennifer Doudna. I work in her lab. She's a super cool lady. I feel so honored to work with her. I got to go to her celebration when she won her Nobel Prize, and that was one of the coolest things I think I've done at Berkeley. And I just found that through being involved in student organizations. Somebody in my student org also worked in this lab and knew that there was an opening and just sent a message to the group chat saying like, hey, there's somebody in this lab looking for people with these 3 skills. And I had those skills, so I reached out to the grad student that I work for and had an interview, and now I work in the data lab. It's so fun. I'm going to be working there through the summer as part of the SURF program, which is the summer research fellowship program, summer undergraduate research fellowship program. And I'm just so honored to work there. But of course, there's other famous alumni besides just my favorite Jennifer Doudna. We also have some famous actors who went here, like Chris Pine of Star Trek and Wonder Woman fame, and Janisha Adams-Ginyard of Black Panther fame. Super famous movies. I really enjoy seeing them when they appear. I always like elbow the person next to me and be like, hey, that guy went to Berkeley and he's in this cool movie. We also have really cool academics that came here. Steve Wozniak, of course, of Apple fame, is from Berkeley. We have some rooms in the computer science building that are named after him. And Stephen Chu, the former Secretary of Energy. And then some athletes like Alex Morgan, one of the team members of the Women's Soccer World Cup that won in the past years. And then lastly, Beverly Cleary, the famous children's book author of Ramona Quimby fame.
Now just some highlights, last slide before we move on to our Q&A. We have a lot of squirrels on campus, which is something I like to talk about because squirrels are my favorite animal. So whenever I was touring colleges, if I didn't see squirrels, I was like, oh, I don't really want to go here, which is a silly, arbitrary thing, but it was in my mind, and luckily there were a lot of squirrels running around Berkeley. We also have our eucalyptus grove and our strawberry creek, which runs all through campus. So these are 2 amazing little pieces of nature that we have to engage with, but we are also located very close to the city. And the city of Berkeley was built around the university, which I think is really cool. But we're really able to just have that nice balance of urban and natural environment here.
Awesome. Thank you both for giving such an awesome presentation, and to all of our attendees for submitting all of these amazing questions. We'll now go ahead and jump into our live Q&A, starting with our first question. Do you have any tips for someone who isn't really interested / successful in specific breadth requirement classes to get these requirements done? And Sara, maybe you can take this one.
Yeah, I can answer that. I would not be scared of the breadth requirements. I think they're a really great thing to do to expose you to different things. So I'd actually recommend taking one that's way different from your actual major. I did this past semester and I really loved it. I'm a bioengineering major, but I took a class called Wealth and Poverty that was on like economics and the state of the US economy with former Secretary of Labor Robert Reich. And it was so fun, like not related to bioengineering at all, but I feel like I learned a ton in that class that I wouldn't have learned otherwise if I didn't have to do the breadth requirement. And for finding classes, before the registration period, there will be a website that you can look at just the list of classes that are available, and you can sort them by what requirements they fulfill. And then also, there's a student-run website called Berkeley Time that'll tell you like the grade distributions and the different professors that are available for those courses and has reviews for them. So I use that a ton. I recommend looking at that as well. And also just talking to your friends. I know a lot of my friends in different student orgs that I've joined have taken different classes. That's how I've heard about wealth and poverty, because one of my friends took it and recommended it to me. Just use the large campus environment as a resource for yourself to find classes.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with what Sara said more. It may seem really specific, like these breadths may seem so specific, but the range of classes that fulfill these breadths is so range and so broad. Like it's a huge range. I took a Cleopatra seminar to fulfill like my arts requirement, and it was like so fun and not something I thought I'd like. But yeah, don't be worried. There's so many different things that you can like do to fulfill these requirements. Thank you, Sara. So for our next question, is it possible to major in engineering and economics? And Alyssa, maybe you can take this one.
Yeah, I'd love to. I considered majoring in economics for some time. You know, I came in, really didn't know what I wanted to do, but I figured it out at this point. But Berkeley allowed me to kind of dabble in different things and figure it out. But I would say, yes, it is possible to major in engineering and economics. It may be difficult because they're both, you know, pretty intense majors, especially engineering, any sort of thing you want to do there. But if you're passionate about two things, even if people tell you, oh, that's going to be hard, I don't know if you want to do that, you should go for it still, because you're living your own life. You're going to change the world in whatever way possible. You have dreams for yourself. Go for it. Go accomplish those goals. So if you want to pursue economics and have that path open for you, but also see maybe how that relates to engineering and what you want to build or engineer in that sense, definitely it is possible to do it. And you just have to really figure it out with your advisors. With probably you'll be engineering first and then economics on top of that. So talk to your engineering advisor, see what they think, talk to an economics advisor and see their thoughts, create a 4-year plan about all the classes you're going to take throughout your years here. You may not have as much room for those fun classes, but you'll still have your breadth classes that you can have a lot of fun with. So this is a great opportunity. And even if it seems hard, even if it seems, oh, I don't know if I can do that, you can do it. I believe in you.
Yes, I completely agree with Alyssa. And something that you might consider is the MET program, which is not economics and engineering, but business and engineering. So that might be something you consider. An MET program is just Berkeley's management, entrepreneurship, and technology program, which basically, if you get into that program, you get a Bachelor of Science in Engineering, Bachelor of Science in Business from the Haas School of Business. So that might be a program of interest, but it's not economics. And I do know they're a bit different, but that might be something you want to look into. Thank you so much, Alyssa. So for our next question, what are some popular extracurriculars? How can I get a good balance of academic and social life at Berkeley? And Sara, maybe you can take this one.
Yeah, I can take this one. I think it's really important to have a balance of social life and academics at Berkeley. My first semester, I think I focused a little too much on academics, but then I joined a social club and I've been having a lot more fun since then. I think there's like 3 categories of extracurriculars that people do. There's like social clubs, there's academic clubs, and there's research. For social clubs, I'm in what me and Alyssa are both in one, the rally committee. Super fun, highly recommend. Like no pressure to do anything. We just go to games and cheer for the team and set up various school spirit activities. There's also like AFX, the dance club that a lot of people join. There's Greek life. You could join a social sorority or fraternity. And then for the academic side, I was in an engineering club. So there's a lot of clubs that go to like competitions or are really focused on building something. The club that I was in was focused on getting some bacteria into space. So I was on the biology team for that. I had to interview and submit a resume for that club, but I think it was worth it because I got a lot of wet lab experience there that I wouldn't have got otherwise. There's also professional and business fraternities that you can join, also I think in that academic club category. And then there's also clubs for particular majors. There's a lot of societies for specific majors that'll do things like study together or have events or invite speakers that are related to the subject. And then lastly is research, which we've covered a bit before, but I'll just talk about it again. You can talk about, you can go through the undergraduate research apprenticeship program, URAP. I have a couple of friends who did that. One now who is working in a material science lab that's been working there for a couple of years and really enjoys it. And then I've been working in a biology lab for the last year. And you can get research through the URAP, like I said, but also talking to your professors and just even cold emailing people.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with what Sara said more. Because Berkeley is such a diverse community, the opportunities and activities that students get involved in, once again, super broad. Anything you can think of, it's probably there. An awesome resource is CalLink. And then, Sara mentioned research, tons of research happening on campus, which is super fun and an awesome opportunity for undergraduates. Thank you so much, Sara. And for our final question, which I think is a super important question, especially for those of you who are considering Berkeley, why Berkeley? Tell us a little bit about why you decided to come to Berkeley, why you decided to apply to Berkeley. Tell us your Berkeley story. And we'll go ahead and start with Alyssa.
Yeah, so I had never pictured myself at Berkeley. I applied kind of just to apply. It was another button on the UC application. I really saw myself somewhere on the East Coast, getting as far away from home as possible. Um, but then once I got into Berkeley, I got my letter and I couldn't believe it. I saw the confetti coming down and it said, "Congratulations, Alyssa." And I was like, "You're kidding. I did not just get into UC Berkeley. That's not real. They're lying to me. They made a mistake." But they did not. I came to a bunch of different things. I came to Cal Day, which is kind of our open house celebration, and I was able to walk around with my mom and dad, and we got to hear our chancellor speak. She did her opening address, and during it, my mom leaned over to me and she was like, "This is it, Alyssa, you belong here." And I wasn't really sure at that moment. I was kind of just like, I don't know. But over time, I continued to look into it and look into Berkeley and kind of just get a feel for it. And she was right. I kind of didn't admit that she was right until I was here for a couple weeks. And I was just so happy. And I had really found my place here, whether it was in my clubs or with my roommate in my dorm. Berkeley was home and it became home so quickly. And even if it was kind of a difficult transition at the very start, I was able to push myself outside of my comfort zone and be at this place that encourages me to be who I want to be and to grow into the person that I need to become and not kind of be shaped into a mold. And that's exactly what Berkeley is. And I just couldn't imagine being anywhere else.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Alyssa. Sara?
Yeah, for me, Berkeley has always been my secret dream school. Like, I really wanted to come here. It's so good for bioengineering, but I never thought I could actually get in. So I spent my entire time in high school convincing myself and everyone around me that I actually wanted to go to a different school. But secretly in the background, like whenever I needed to pick classes or I was making sure I was filling out all the requirements, I would go to the Berkeley website and make sure that I was all set to apply to Berkeley. So then I applied, not really expecting too much, and I got accepted. And I was so shocked because I got accepted on a different day than most of the acceptances come out. So I even Googled like UC Berkeley acceptance scam to make sure that I was actually accepted and not just like some horrible scammer playing with my emotions, like trying to convince me I got into Berkeley to steal my money. But nope, it was real. I actually got in and I was so excited. But then I had to decide between Berkeley and the school that I had been talking about for all of high school. Like which one was I going to end up going to? And for me, the deciding factor was I came to an overnight stay program in Berkeley, and my host was just so passionate about everything she did. She was so excited about her major. She talked my ear off for like an hour about energy engineering, and she did that while wearing knee-high Oski socks and like teaching me Go Bears cheers. And I was like, man, this seems so fun. I really want to be surrounded by people like that in college. And like I want to be somebody like that in college. So after that overnight program, I came home, I bought my sweater, which was basically like committing. And I told all my family and friends that I was coming to Berkeley. And then my parents were like, "Yeah, we knew you were going to go there the whole time. Like, have fun and go Bears."
Oh, sorry, I realized I was muted. Awesome. Thank you both for sharing your stories. I always love hearing everybody's Berkeley stories because, they're all so unique, just like, Berkeley students. And those are amazing, beautiful stories. I love hearing everyone's journeys. So before we do say bye to y'all, we just want to give you some resources to stay in contact with us. So starting with our U Visit tour. So currently you can't be on campus because of CDC guidelines, public health guidelines. So we do have a U Visit tour, which you can visit at uvisit.com/Berkeley. This tour is really awesome. It's just like you're on campus. I highly encourage you to check it out. You can also follow us on Instagram at Visit UC Berkeley. You can email us tour@berkeley.edu. If your question wasn't answered, and a student ambassador will answer your question once again from that student perspective. You can visit the Bear Talk blog at beartalk.berkeley.edu for more of that student perspective and to get a little bit more insight into the life of a Berkeley student. We have more recorded virtual visits available on our YouTube channel at Visit UC Berkeley. Like I said, every student's perspective is different, so you might want to get more students' perspectives. We recently celebrated 150 years of women. You can learn more about that at 150w.berkeley.edu. We do have a separate admissions presentation, and you can learn more about that at admissions.berkeley.edu/visit. And ambassador student panels and engineering visits are also a thing. So I know some of you were interested in the College of Engineering. You can get a tour just specific to the College of Engineering by visiting visit.berkeley.edu. And we also have student panels, which are kind of like that Q&A that we had at the end. So highly encourage you to sign up for those as well. And before we let you all go, we just want to say once again, thank you all so much for joining us today. And here at Berkeley, we like to end things off with the good old Go Bears. So if the ambassadors will unmute themselves, and on 3, 1, 2, 3, Go Bears.